Good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 KKNW, AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on the air. I'm really excited today because I saw some daffodils. And daffodils is a sign for me that it's a sign of eternity. We've made it through winter. So, hello, daffodils. Spring is almost here. I'm excited about the show today. I'm going to have Mr. Rye on in just a few minutes. But also, I'm going to have Vickie Beach on, and we're going to talk about women because this is Women History Month. So after Mr. Rye, we'll be talking about women and the accomplishments of women, or the women who've been important in our lives. So how you doing, Mr. Rye? Come on in and give us an update.
I'm doing okay today, Reverend Harriet, and happy Women's History Month to you. And in our community, in the Black community, women have always been in the forefront in terms of making change. And we just talked about them doing Black History Month. We can talk about them again during Women's History Month.
Oh, yeah.
There's been some phenomenal women. As a matter of fact, right now we have a phenomenal woman as Vice President of the United States of America. We have another phenomenal woman that has just been named to the U.S. Supreme Court. Hopefully the vote will go the right way. I'm sure it will. And then when we look at my friend, former Congresswoman Margaret Fudge, who was Congresswoman from Ohio, who's now is the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. And most recently, we had two confirmations of women, one a lady, Indian American, and also an African American who took the leadership positions in the Department of Justice in the Civil Rights Division. So, you know, we look at the folks like the mayor of San Francisco, London Breed. We look at the mayor just stepped down in Atlanta. My man, Major Lance's daughter, she was a mayor. And then we look at all the other women that are really doing things in our community. And, 98% of them voted for Joe Biden. Only 92% of Black men voted for Joe Biden. And so I always have, even when I was the director of camp, the majority of the department heads when I was there, and I worked for a woman by the name of Dr. Rosa Woodhouse. She was the executive director of camp. But when I was the director of camp, the overwhelming majority of the department heads were women, and did an outstanding job. So I have, a mother I'm proud of, a wife I'm proud of, a daughter
and
I'm proud of,
yeah.
and I have nieces that are kicking it high too. So
when you were at camp, Margarita Delgado was head of Region 10 for the federal government at one time. And she's no longer working for the government now, of course, but she was over Region 10. With what is it, the Johnson's poverty money? What it was, that money that they were giving out at those times. So, yeah, we've had women here all along. Praise goodness. Praise goodness. And I'm glad that your family is doing well. And you have some outstanding women in your family. And so, but you wanted to also give an update about the bill that's kind of stalled. You wanted to make sure it comes out of the Senate.
Yeah, what it is appropriations for the MLK Gandhi Empowerment Initiative. And that's a collaboration between some Indian brothers and sisters who most of them came from India, who are in the technology industry. And some of them have said because of the fact that had it not been for Blacks in the Civil Rights Movement, they would not be here living large. And Dr. King studied Mahatma Gandhi when he was a student at Morehouse College in the 40s. Now, Reverend McKinney also was a classmate of his, but Reverend McKinney, Martin Luther King entered when he was 15, and they were there for a year. And because Reverend McKinney was 18, he got drafted the very next year, even though he did return to Morehouse after he did a stint in the Army. But Mahatma Gandhi had led the Indian liberation movement away from England, and in 1947, they had the liberation movement, and he was killed by one of his own people in 1948 because they said he was embracing the Muslims, and he was one of those folks that embraced everybody. And sometimes it costs you your life, and we know a lot of prominent leaders who lost their lives trying to be inclusive and fighting for the rights of everyone. So we know that. But getting back to the women's side of things, we just look around and see the accomplishments. We got billionaires like Oprah Winfrey,
Oh yeah.
Very successful. From
And
top to bottom, everywhere you look, we have women doing great things. So,
and the woman that owns the Channel One, Miss Harris, I think that's her name, that owns all the black radio stations. I can't think of her name right now. I think first name is Kathy Harris, I believe it is. And
yeah,
she
and
owned,
another good friend of mine is she's also a syndicated columnist, is Dr. Ife Williams, who is national president of the National Conference of Black Women, and
okay.
they have big events every year. Before COVID, I was there at all of her brunches, and I got a chance to meet a lot of the sisters she brought in, like Harriet Tubman's relatives, Alicia Bundles, who is Madam C.J. Walker's great granddaughter. So that also gave me an opportunity to meet the relatives of some of these famous Black women, because
Wow.
Dr. Ife Williams kept me in that loop. And she's been a guest on my program before, and she also appears in the Seattle Medium newspaper regularly, because she's a Tri-City syndicated columnist as well.
Okay. All right. And I've had Miss Cindy Bright on my show. She does a show and she has a book about racism in the corporate world and how to face it. And she's doing a lot of good work here in Seattle and around the country. She's spectacular. You go on and on, because one thing about it, we didn't
haven't hit the local ones yet. I haven't hit the local Black ladies yet.
No, you haven't. No.
we got like Lanisha De Bartleman, who is a magnificent director of the Northwest African American Museum. She's also the chair of the board of all of the Black museums.
Right.
And then we have Michelle Merriweather down running the Urban League, and they're doing some fantastic things. So, everywhere you look, we have women doing things. And then we have sisters like Lynn Wilson, that was very, very supportive of the anti-apartheid movement.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to remember the lady from the National Lawyers Guild that got me out of jail. I think her name was Valerie. I'll think of her last name. But anyway, so now we have, we've had women governors, women mayors, and I particularly am interested in women who are achieving things, who are of the African American enslaved. I pretty much focus on those. But then again, we have younger folks, women like Toshiko Hasagawa in her early 30s, just been elected to the Poor Commission. Hamdi Mohammed, 31 years old, just elected to the Poor Commission. So we definitely have women on the move. And if you look at the city council, I think is majority women. And if they're catching up at the county council level. So,
and the president of the council is Deborah Waez, and she's Native.
Right.
First time you've ever had a Native American president of the Seattle City Council, and she's doing great work.
And Claudia Balducci is chair of the King County Council as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have to give Gurmey a shout out, because he was able to get the Republicans and the Democrats together on the King County Council to implore Governor Jay Inslee to rescind Gary Locke's directive that killed affirmative action and sign another executive order restoring affirmative action. So, and then Gurmey was honored on March 21st at the Martin Luther King Commemoration Committee. We honored Peggy Maxey, the first Black woman to be on the state legislature. Claude Harris got the Norm Rice Award, the first Black fire chief from the first Black mayor. We also had Kirsten Harris Talley came in and actually did the introduction and did a background bio for Peggy Maxey. So, we have, and I have to talk about Sade Moore, young sister who now for the last 3 or 4 years has been the chair of the Martin Luther King Organizing Coalition, the sponsors of Archer Rally and the Opportunity Fair every year. So we have, and she's in her early 30s. She's also on the board of the Central District. She's a secretary of the board of the Central District Community Preservation and Development Authority, known as the McKinney Center for Community and Economic Development. And she's a rising star at Amazon in terms of that technology field. And I guess she's a few months away from her doctorate degree. So we do have some outstanding women that are leading. And it's not like we have one, we have a plethora.
No, we have a lot of them. Like we said, we got them in our family. We got Acacia Salisbury, who finished. Agnes Scott is doing great work in Atlanta, and Alma Salisbury, who just finished Elizabeth City State, who's working at Fred Hutch. And my granddaughter, she's at Tuskegee. She graduated. She'll graduate. She's finished already. She's in the veterinarian program down there, Isis Salisbury. So we got the younger generation of Black young women also coming along and taking the path of education and moving on to a higher level. So,
and I forgot to mention the Queen, Stacey Abrams, who has done more to organize folks in Georgia and around this country. You know, I haven't seen a movement like that actually since Reverend Jesse Jackson ran in 1980.
That's right.
And when he ran, more people of color ran than ever before. And then when he ran again in 88, I think that number doubled, because you could, remember that David Dinkins was the chair of the Jackson campaign in 84, the 84 campaign for president. He became mayor of New York City, and Douglas Wilder was the chair of the Jackson campaign in Virginia, and he became the governor of Virginia. So I remember Jesse Wineberry defeated an incumbent in 84, Bill Burns, out the 43rd district. So that Jackson campaign and us getting involved in every aspect of the government, of the decision-making process, primarily in the Democratic Party, we had never had people on the platform committee and these other committees, and now it's no stopping us. So
we just got to keep it. We got to keep at it, because they're trying to take it away from us. So
absolutely, we
got to keep at it.
And then locally, I got to mention too that our Don Mason, who was a state representative, and then I have to talk about the late Jerry Ware, somebody that I worked with closely, Freddie Mae Gaucher, Miss Toby Burton. Right. And a lot of those folks gave me a lot of good advice that kept me from going the wrong way, politically and a few other ways. So, and I always appreciated their input, their counsel, and their advice.
Oh yeah. So we can go on and on about this and the women, because they have absolutely opened the door for us, and they continue to do that. I remember Freddie Mae Gaucher and all of these people. I mean, it's amazing how we just continue, because you remember we didn't have a Marshall Plan. There was no plan to lift us up. I mean, I guess you could say the Marshall Plan might have been the 40 acres and a mule that we didn't really get. But so since we didn't have a Marshall Plan, and we didn't have any, all the schools that was built, all the HBC schools was built, HBCUs was built by Black people, for Black people. So I guess you could say we will lift ourselves up even when we didn't have any boots. Wouldn't you say that? I mean,
and it's, no other people have endured what African descendants of slaves have endured in the United States of America. And, the only group to have to go to battle in a segregated army and come back to segregation and degradation. And like I say, African descendants of the United States enslaved are the most patriotic group of Americans in this country. We are, because anybody else would have put up with and still be loyal to the country.
Right.
And I want to mention one other lady too. One of the most important ladies in my life was a lady by the name of Myrtle Rye. She could make something out of nothing. That was my mother. So I just want to make sure I give her a shout out during Women's History Month.
All right. Well, this is good. And I'll make sure that I make my calls today in the morning or this afternoon to those senators and ask them to support this bill. I mean, why not? Why not us? Why not?
That's
us?
right. That's right. Get us digitally, close the digital technology divide and go ahead and be fair. But we only have 4 days to get the session's only in session for 4 days. So the quicker the calls and emails can go in, a significant number of people receive that from me today. And if anybody else want to help, they can call me at 206-786-2763 about helping get this technology training.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Rye, for coming on. And I look forward to talking to you next time and give my greetings to your family. All right. Have a great afternoon.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden, and we'll be right back.
Market Street Shoes is happy to sponsor the Mother's Justice Show in honor of our mother, Jackie Higgins Rosebrook, who spent her life fighting for social justice, and also in honor of all mothers who fight for social justice. Market Street Shoes, fashionable footwear and apparel for life's everyday adventures, in the heart of Ballard since 2006. Visit marketstreetshoes.com.
It's good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on the air. I love that song. Thank you, because I am woman, and this is the history Women's History Month. And I'm going to bring my guests on in just a moment. I just went to, I think, Market Shoes Street Market Shoes for supporting Mother's Justice Show. Also, I want to let people know how much we appreciate you all for donating to us. And our website is Mothers, Mothers for Police Accountability.org. Our hotline is 206-329-2033. It's 206-329-2033. And in this Market Street Shoes there, and this is our second or third time they've been sponsors of us, and we just love them. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to bring my next guest on. She's been on many times, but today we're going to be talking about Miss Victoria Beach. We're going to be talking about women. And so she's going to go first, and then I'm going to talk about my 5 women that I cherish. All right. Are you ready, Miss Beach?
I am.
All right, let's go. Let's rock.
Well, I have to say my first one is you.
Oh.
The impact you've had on the city, and I'm just talking about women and mother, and you've been a mother to so many of us Black young women that have mothers and a lot that don't. I remember you were a huge support when my aunt passed away, and you always have encouraging words. You don't even have to think about it. It just comes out of your mouth, and you just the love that comes from you. It's, I don't think there are words to describe it. And I think that you need to be honored for that. And I cherish my relationship for you. This isn't about men, but you were a mother to my son-in-law who lost his mother. And you're genuine, and it's there are no words, and I thank you. I thank God that you're in my life. I thank for the advice. I thank for when you told me to change my attitude, all of it. I accept all of it. I'm just so thankful for you. And I love when I hear other women call you Mama Harriet, and that's the name I love for you. The next one is was a school counselor, and I was a teenage mom, and I decided to go to an alternative school and go back to my high school, but I stayed there and graduated because of her. She was a Black woman, and she always told all of us young Black young ladies that we were valuable, that we could be anything we wanted to be. And the day I graduated, I got all my credits before the end of the year. She cried, and it was just so real, and nobody ever cried over anything like that for me. and I just looked at her like, wow, she really cares. And she said, we got to call your mom immediately. But she gave me hope when it was hard, and she said it wasn't going to always be hard, and education was very important. She's the second one. The third one is she used to be a family support worker with the school district. Now she's downtown at headquarters, and I'm not sure her title has behavior or something in it, but working with her, the love she had for our children, and she stood up even when the policy.
And you want to call her name?
Oh, Jesslyn Finkley.
Okay.
She's amazing. Even still, the work she does today. She called me a few weeks ago and asked me to help her. There was a young mother, Black mother, having a crisis with her son. And she went above and beyond. We made sure that the police knew that she was mentally ill so they wouldn't walk in and shoot her. The school district does not realize what they have in her. I admire her. She got her MSW while being a mother and working full time. I just admire her. So the next three, well, the next one, I didn't want to use relatives because this is.
Oh no, I mean no, because that's part of your lineage. Of course, I'm gonna use relatives too. But I might put my relatives in Mother's Day weekend. But
okay, well, I'm gonna say my mom, but her aunt, my aunt, her sister was the first.
What do you want to call her name?
Dr.
We're calling our names. So call her name.
Dr. Consuelo Shaw. She was the first assistant to the superintendent, first Black woman to the superintendent.
What was her name?
Dr. Consuelo Shaw.
Okay. And, wonderful name.
She was also a principal at Rainier Beach, Ballard. I know she worked at Exnine, but she fought for Black children, and she didn't have children of her own. We were her kids, but she took us to the ballet, to the opera, to things, society, things that Blacks aren't interested in. And she was big on education. I mean, we did things that were unheard of in our neighborhood. She was really hard on us, really hard. And sometimes we'd think she's so mean. She loved us, but that was her way of showing us. And I miss her. And the last two I'm gonna put together. And
we're gonna take a break, so we'll come back and hear your test. So let's take a break right now. You listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. We'll be right back. This is Women's Month.
Market Street Shoes is happy to sponsor the Mother's Justice Show in honor of our mother, Jackie Higgins Rosebrook, who spent her life fighting for social justice, and also in honor of all mothers who fight for social justice. Market Street Shoes, fashionable footwear and apparel for life's everyday adventures, in the heart of Ballard since 2006. Visit marketstreetshoes.com.
COVID-19 is a severe lung infection. Trust the American Lung Association for science-based public health information, especially for the 36 million Americans who live with lung disease. We have resources to protect your lung health. Access expertise from medical professionals and peer-to-peer support through our online communities. Visit lung.org for daily updates or call 1-800-LUNG-USA.
Hi, this is Dr. K. Mahina Intron, inviting you to tune in on Mondays on 1150 KKNW at 5 p.m. to Dr. K's Attuning to Your Abundance, where we honor everyday abundance through positive messages, poetry, music, affirmations, and writing exercises. For more information, contact Dr. K Workshops at gmail.com or Facebook, Dr. K's Abundance.
You're listening to the Mother Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on the air. I want to bring my guests back on. Miss Victoria Beach says she was born and raised here in Seattle, and she's talking about women who's been instrumental in her lives or in some kinds of ways. And thank you, Miss Beach, for saying yes. But also we was having a discussion about this song because I love that song. One of the reasons why I love it is because it's like when she said one moment in time, I'm saying 2, 3, 4, 5 moments in time. Because as women, we're always trying to make things happen. We are encouragers. We're looking to other women to help us out. And then we have all these mothers, all these women who come before us. And so I know you had some more women that you wanted to talk about, So come on, let's talk about these other fine women that have made an impression in your life.
Okay. I'm going to put them both together in there. I have 3 daughters, but I'm sorry I have to leave the baby one out right now. But my 2 daughters, Nina Elmore and Tara Beach, like I said earlier, I was a teenage mom, and all I ever heard, and they heard it too, that, they would never amount to be anything. They'd be teenage moms like me. They be on welfare. Well, they're very successful women. And Tara, the middle one, Tara Beach, she was Jim McDermott's deputy director. And yeah, ever since she was in elementary school, she loved politics and always said she was going to be the president. And I encouraged her, yeah. And I thought this is going to die down, politics, but it followed her all the way to adult life. At 16, she went to the Democratic convention and met Jim McDermott. No, she was 15, and said she was going to work for him. Well, she became his deputy director. And,
wow.
Yes, and then Nina is she's a mitigation specialist with the Public Defenders Association. She is an amazing human being. She has 4 kids, one incredible daughter, Adriana, who has Down syndrome, and God knew that He handpicked Nina to be her mother. She's an incredible mother. She got her master's by working full time, and has a heart for the community, the Black community. And her and I sometimes are on opposite ends, and with SPD. And she says, Mom, this is the Black community, and everybody has a story. So don't just listen to what people are saying. Everybody has a story.
That's right.
So those are my 5, but my 2 oldest daughters are amazing. And to all the people that said they'd be on welfare and nothing.
Well, the procrastinators are the people who always want to prophesy. I guess I should say it differently. What other people are going to be have been made wrong for many, many times, especially when people who don't know us, or people who don't look like us, or people who might be in a different class from us think that sometimes that we're not going to make it. So,
right.
Hey, this is wonderful. You had a wonderful mother, and we were able to talk about her also, and a family. I mean, as we always say, from where we came from, we're absolutely doing spectacular things. And I'm just so grateful. I'm going to just talk about a few women now. Now I'm going to start mine by talking about Fabiola Woods. Fabiola Woods, I met her at Summit K-12 when I was there many, many years ago with my children. And I met her through a lady named Mary Ann Go. Fabiola Woods had 7 children. She was a powerhouse. She lived over by, on the other side of Miller School in East, I think it's 1 block up from 23rd, so that must have been 22nd. And not too far from Miller's, Meany Elementary School. So, and Miller Community Center was over there. We became fast friends. And Fabiola, if you don't know Fabiola, if you have ever met Fabiola Woods, you would always remember her because she was a powerhouse. I mean, she was unafraid. She was absolutely demanded attention, and she got it because she always knew what she was talking about. Very seldom she was wrong. And she was one of the co-founding mothers for Mothers Against Police Harassment. So Fabiola was there in the beginning. She loved my children. Like I say, Fabiola she was the boss. She also worked for me in my eye care service business. So I actually worked for her. I mean, because that she was the boss. I mean, what can I say? Fabiola got it done. One of the things I loved about Fabiola, especially when she was involved with Mothers Against Police Harassment, some people you got to check behind. One thing about Fabiola Woods, her and Lonnie Nelson were 2 people that I'd met in my lifetime. And those times you never had to check behind. If you gave Fabiola something to do, it was done. It was done. And she was older than me. I mean, I've had the lifetime of having women older than me in my life. I mean, I was raised by my grandparents, of course. So I've never had young women. I was always the baby. Now I get to be the older. But and when Fabiola get talking, she was saying, "Well, girl, you know what happened in 1942?" I said, "Fabiola, I wasn't born." She said, "Well, you should have been. You ought to have been here." Then he said about 1948. I said, Fabiola, why weren't you there in 1948? Because I wasn't born. I was just little. She was married to Jeff Woods, and he was an engineer. And they moved to Seattle, and I think her husband was able. They're both in spirit now, but her husband also brought a lot of people from West Virginia to get hired at Boeing. So they opened the door for employment. But and I think she was a member of the Elks, and also he was down there with the Escort clubs and stuff like that. But Fabiola got it done, and she also got the Jefferson Award for cleaning up down there, the apartment down there on the south end, what's the name of that apartment? I thought I had it here, down over there, right behind the library down in on Rainier. Yeah, so there used to be some apartments back there, and they were drug infested. Fabiola took on the gangs, she took on the drug dealers, and she was not afraid. I mean, she cleaned up that building. Okay, she cleaned up the building. Okay.
Wow.
So that's why she got the Jefferson Award for courage. She had a lot of courage. She came out of Louisiana and could cook some mean gumbo. I think the first time I ever had gumbo, I had it from Fabiola. I'm from Florida. I didn't know what gumbo was. I mean, I guess people in northern Florida might know, but Central Florida, I never heard of gumbo. So I got my first bowl of gumbo at her house. And I used to visit her up on Capitol Hill, down where she lived at. And again, she had 7 children. And I think she had two sons and 5 daughters. I mean, I think she had 5 daughters, and all beautiful, all tall, stately. She was such a gorgeous woman, and all the girls are gorgeous. They all are beautiful, and so Fabiola was the one person that Fabiola knew that she could call me. I mean, I don't care how the relationship was, she could call me, and I always would come. And the night that she was passing, she called me, and I went, and I was with her when the ambulance came. So I was with her all the way almost to the end. So anyway, because she knew that she could count on me and stuff. And I count on her, It's like we might, have these relationships where sometimes you butt heads with people, but at the end of the day or the end of the month, when you need something, you call on them. And that's what Fabiola Woods means to me. She'll always be dear to me. My life is so richer because I knew her. And I saw her work ethic. She would look all day and go over your books to find a penny. If she was a penny off, that's how diligent she was. She never left a job undone. Never left a job undone. And for that reason, I'm always grateful for her because she taught me a lot. It was rough sometimes. Ooh, it was rough sometimes. But I stuck with it, and we stuck with one another. I loved her. I absolutely loved her. It's amazing how you wind up loving the tough ones, isn't it?
Yes.
And you wind up loving the tough ones, don't you? The ones that give you,
yeah.
You wind up loving them tough ones because you know what? They pull something out of you.
Yes.
They make you grow up a little bit,
Yep.
And the second person I want to talk about right now is Dorothy Pounds. I met Dorothy Pounds. I met 2 women at the Unity Church, downtown Unity. I met Dorothy Pounds at Unity Church in the 80s. She was 40 years or 41 years older than me. I mean, she was but we became fast friends. I didn't know that Dorothy had graduated from Tuskegee Institute, but I did know that she was one of the beginning members of Delta, and I know she was a counselor at Garfield at one time. She was a guest editor for the Seattle Times, but for me, she was a teacher of metaphysics. She knew Ernest Holmes, who started the Church of Religious Science. She knew Norman Vincent Peale, and she knew the power of positive thinking. She knew the power of positive thinking, and she loved my children. She lived in Bellevue, and I'd take my children. So I always took my children to see older people because that's what I knew to do, because my grandmother took me, because when I grew up, they were old people. Well, no elders, they call them old people. You had to go to the store for old people. You had to go and thread a needle for old people. You had to go write a letter for old people. This stuff about the elders today. They were old people. And they'd be, come here, go to the store for me. Old people. So I grew up going, but old people. So I wanted my children to have the old people experience. So I took them to see old people. And they loved them. They loved my children. Dorothy loved my children. But Dorothy and I would do this. She taught me, she said that our brain was wired for negativity. And we have to put on the subconscious mind all the time positive thoughts. Because otherwise the brain is wired for negativity. That's why we have so much on the planet. And then we have to program ourselves to be positive. You have to program yourself on a daily basis to be positive. And that's what Dorothy taught me, on how to be positive. So we would do this thing, and it was called All I See Is Good. It's a mental health diet. It's something by Emmett Fox, and it's by trains your mind to see good. And so we would start out on a 30-day journey of all I see is good, all I see is good. You say that all day long, no matter what's going on. And when we mess up, we'd have to start again. We did it for 3 years.
Wow.
3 years. And she was in Russia when Chernobyl had that meltdown.
Yeah.
She was over down to visit at that time. She was visiting Russia. But Dorothy taught me that. She said the best only costs a few pennies more. She said, yeah, you could go to Denny's and have a meal and have a paper napkin, or you can go someplace else, pay a few pennies more, and sit in a nice restaurant with a cloth napkin. And so she said, the best only costs a few pennies more. And she said, nothing happens just. She said, nothing just happens. Everything happens just. That means everything happens just for a reason. Nothing just happens. And so just like the untimely death of Mr. George Floyd didn't go unnoticed. It happened, and it changed the world. And that's what she was always telling me, that nothing just happens. Everything happens just. And she believed in the human family. She believed in children. And I loved her. I mean, these are people who absolutely helped me, and I loved them. And again, they loved my children. And I went to see them. I went to see Dorothy. I'd take my kids to go across the bridge to her house in Bellevue, and we would sit there and just have conversations. And we talked 2 or 3 times a day. Because again, we was doing this thing, all I see is good. You see something on the television that's bad, you have to see through it. You cannot judge it on this face value, what you're looking at. She taught me you got to look through it to see the good. Yeah. And so she was instrumental, part of my journey to be able to get my consciousness to see good was Dorothy Pounds. She was really pretty good at that. I mean, that she knew Ernest Holmes, like I said, Norma Vincent Peale. I mean, that she could just, everything she would say, she would rattle off truth, and it would be spectacular. You would have you would feel so much better after you talked to her. So she was one of those persons. She's in spirit now, but and just a lot of accomplishments. I don't know if you ever watched the clapback on. I don't know if you ever watched the update, the Converged Media. They have a Thursday program called Clapback, and Julia Jess's is her great granddaughter. Yeah, Julia. Yeah, she's beautiful. Julia. So yeah, she's there. So my other person I'm going to talk about is Rosetta. Her name is Vivian Dandridge, but she went by another name here, and I'll tell you her name in just a minute. But she didn't want people to know who she was. She was Dorothy Dandridge's sister.
Oh, and, wow!
Yeah, yeah, Vivian. She went by Marina Roselle. I met both of these people at Unity Church. I met Dorothy Pounds at Unity Downtown, and I met Marina Roselle. And at the time I met her, she didn't tell me that she was Dorothy Dandridge, that Dorothy was her sister. She loved my children. Oh, she loved my children. She loved my children. She just thought I was such a great mother with raising 4 boys by myself. And she thought I was a cat's meow. Oh, she thought I was special. She only had 1 child, She thought I was special. And I didn't know she had 5 husbands, but she came up in Broadville. Dorothy got all Dorothy made it big. Vivian didn't. But she had some bit parts, and she did some singing, and she did a lot of nightclub acts. And so I met her. She was living down on Weston, behind the market in public housing. So Like you said, that a lot of her money got eat up by agents, you know, and the people who didn't quite treat them right. But she had such charisma, and I can understand, you know, why she had 5 husbands, because she was quite the doll. She was quite the doll. Yeah, she was quite the doll. She might not have looked as good might not have been as beautiful as Dorothy Dandridge, but she was quite the doll. So in those days, you know, people weren't taken up with one another; they were married. So so she had 5 husbands. Yeah, and she had a German husband, so she spoke German. They were not all African American, so yeah.
Wow.
Then she had some husband. She had a Canadian husband. So, but when I met her, she was in a different part of her life, and just had the style of Hollywood. I mean, you know, she just had that energy on her. But again, all of these women that I'm talking about loved my children, and I would take my children to see her. I would take my children. She would fix dinner for us, and have the cloth napkins and all of this stuff. Had the table set nicely, and we would listen to her stories, because sometimes they just want to tell you the stories. Yeah, that's what they want to do. They want to tell you their stories, and she would tell me her stories about being in Hollywood, you know, and being on the road doing the singing and going to these places. Singing in nightclubs and those kinds of things. And but the thing that I liked about her is that she was also a true student. So she knew a lot about metaphysics too, and consciousness, and how to change the mind. She said, change your thinking, change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. And so she was always telling me about writing affirmations. She was the one who did my numerology. I had never had my numerology done, and she did my numerology for me. And my name, I had an enormous number of 5s. 5 is the number of freedom. And she often said, she said, I'm amazed at you raising your children. She says, anybody who has this many 5s in their name, they don't, you know, they usually walk away. I mean, they want to be free, because 5 is the number of freedom. And so she says, I'm just amazed. And I said, well, you know, my mother died when I was 2 years old. And so that probably changed that for me. Is that no matter what those numbers says, that's a part of me that although I want to be free, I didn't want to be free from being mothering. There's a part of me for wanting to be free. I got my freedom when I started my eye care service business, from being on the road. Just driving every day on the road gave me freedom. So I found another way to be free. Right. But she was amazed that I said that I was a good mother, because she said that just doesn't usually happen when you have that many freedoms. You know, and a lot of people we see wandering today have a lot of 5s, and they want to be free, is what she used to say. But also, Marina Roselle came to my house in the fall of 1971. And she always came on a Monday, because I did a Peace Begins With Me meditation. And she came that Monday, and she went upstairs to see my. I mean, you know, that was, what did I say? I should have said 91. She came upstairs to see my. She went upstairs because she loved my children. Tuned everybody. Omar was the only one home. And she went upstairs, and she came back, and she sat in a chair, and she started talking German. And I recognized she was having a stroke. I was the last person to see her alive. To see, because when the ambulance came to pick her up, they picked her up from my house. And I said, this is Vivian Dandridge. She's going by her assumed name. This is Dorothy Dandridge's sister. Please do what we can to keep her alive, because she had one son. Wow. And the son lived in Detroit. So they put her on life supports. And he was able to at least come to Seattle. She never did regain consciousness. But, by me saying, she came to my house to die. She came to my house to have that stroke, because she knew I loved her. Because had she had a stroke on the bus, nobody would have known that was Dorothy Dandridge's sister, Vivian Dandridge's sister. Wow. That's who she was. And so she had a stroke at my house. And she went to talking German, and I was so glad that she was going, that she went from my house, that I was able to say, hey, this is a famous lady. She's going by her assumed name. Marina Roselle, but her real name is Vivian Danvich. This is Dorothy Danvich's oldest sister. So they, her son came and they had a big funeral for him, and I never heard from them again. But I was so glad that Providence sent her to my house.
Yes.
Providence sent her to my house, and she didn't have that stroke on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And then she would have been, nobody would have known her as Marina Roselle in the morgue. See, I mean, so life is, Dorothy says, everything, nothing just happens, everything happens just. To go back to what Dorothy says. This is one of those examples where nothing just happens, everything happens just. But that just reason that for her to be at my house. And with Fabiola, she called me that night. She asked me to come. And I was there when the ambulance came to take her to the hospital. Nothing just happens, everything happens just. And I was there when they took Fabiola to the hospital, and then our children came, and they came also, but and Fab asked me to pray for her, pray with her, and I did, and then the ambulance came. So these are women who I loved. My life was so rich because I knew these women here in Seattle, and they were all over me, all over my children, and wanted the best for me. When you meet somebody who wants the best for you and your children, and they call you to account. Fabiola called me to account whether I liked it or not. Sometimes I didn't like it. Sometimes I didn't like what she said, but she would call me to account. Dorothy kept me thinking positive. And Marina Roselle was just gracious to me, gracious and kind. And I think women need other women who are older than them to be gracious and kind and call you to account.
That's right.
Call you to account. See, and that's what makes you great. Because see, they'll never die. How can they die? Because they had such an impact on your life, and stuff like that. So I'm just so grateful for these women in my life, because my mother's been gone off the planet a long time. I mean, I haven't had my mother since I was 2 years old, but I've had a lot of mothering. I've had a lot of mothering, and I would think that Dorothy, Marina Roselle, Dorothy Pounds, and Fabiola Woods was part of that mothering of me and my children, because I always had people watching out for my children, because I can't be everywhere, but my children never knew everybody I knew. So that means if your children don't know all your friends, you always got some eyes on them. Because then when they would get off the bus, somebody that they don't know, they say, "Tell your mother I said hello." They get home, and then I say, "Oh," and so that was a clue that if somebody knows them, that knows me, and was watching them. So we had more eyes on our children today. And that's how I felt about Dorothy and all these people. They had eyes on my children because they loved them when they walk in the door. You could feel that when I walked in the door. So anyway, I'm just jazzed about that. I'm jazzed because that I've lived a long ways from being home. That song about being a long ways from home. Well, I'm a long ways from home. I'm a long ways from Sanford, Florida. But I bring all these old people with me because that's all I had in my life. I did not, my grandparents was elderly, so I didn't have a lot of young people. I didn't have a lot. I had old people. I had a life of old people. I would dress them up and call them elders. It's like, oh, no. But anyway, I mean, this has been delightful, and I hope you come back, and then we'll come back, and because I want you to be able to talk about your mother. You talked about other people today, other women, but we'll plan this Mother's Day week, Mother's Day program. I'll probably have you on back on before then, anyway. But this has been delightful talking about mothers, talking about women history, and powerful women that we know here in Seattle and in your family. Just powerful women, and it makes us feel good to talk about powerful women. Yes, because it makes us want to be better. Yep, it wants us want to be better. That, oh my God, I can be better. Right. I can do something else. I can be better. I can do this. Look at me. They never stopped. Other than I'm talking about, they never stopped. I mean, like they kept going. It's like because they knew that they could, and they had something to give. So I encourage you to keep going and doing the work. And, let's talk again soon. Okay?
Yeah, I thank you for everything.
Yeah,
Love
you're
you.
welcome.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thoroughly we do. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. We'll be back next week.